Welcome everyone to Definitely Not Goblins new series in which we introduce new characters to our main campaign. For anyone who's been to our live shows, held at Blackfriars Bar in Glasgow monthly, links on our website, definitely-not-goblins.com, you may be wondering what happened to Bucky, my previous character, the Satyr Bard. Well, Bucky is, let's say, trying to walk through some stuff after the harrowing events in Avernus, where he witnessed Script brutally sacrificing innocent women in order to escape. Let's say he's struggling to adjust and was last seen face down in an alleyway with a bottle in hand. So, this session is going to explore how my new character fits in with the current campaign. So, my new character is a Leonin wizard called Necro'Phil, and Phil has one interest: knowledge and power. Phil has a black cape with leather-studded armour and black fur, and is pursuing a lead where he has discovered a tome of power, may reside within the dark forest. So without further ado, we will pass on to our wonderful DM Robin Zutina, and we will continue on and we will explore what happens when he enters the dark forest.
You do have quite a good voice for this. I'm just noticing. You can edit this bit out.
Why, thank you.
I was thinking to it. You've got quite a good voice for voiceover or radio, I guess.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for a good time?
If you think for a second that I'm going to edit out anybody complimenting me, you are off your mind.
I may have fucked up. I need to sandwich it with insults about your anatomy or something like that.
Oh, plenty of which you'll find.
Impeccable hair though, just impeccable.
Oh
hair.
yeah. Going grey, but I mean it's holding in though.
I mean, as long as it's holding in, the chicks like it. Chicks prefer when you're a little bit grey. So Necro'Phil. As you mentioned, your character is on an almost unending pursuit for power. In an attempt to advance your own abilities and satisfy your pursuit with respect to researching necromancy and magics that are similarly thematic. The research itself is, for the most part, frowned upon, given the nature of that particular school. So your own advancements and developments are done very discreetly, very underground. Throughout your research, you learned about this tome hidden within the dark forest. As you said, throughout your investigations into the location, given the vast nature of the forest, the expanse runs right across the coast of the continent, spanning miles. Very easily can one find themselves lost, turned around, as you will find as you traverse it. So, as you step into the dark forest, you're following what you would describe as markers in an attempt to establish the location of this tome. Kind of small, almost discrete mounds of stone that have been left by someone previous. You discovered that these markers were left by whomever put it there initially, so that they may find their way back, essentially, would be the best way to describe it. These markers are only really obvious to those who have an understanding of the magics with which you've been pursuing.
Okay.
The symbols that are displayed on them to someone else would just appear as scratches or gouges. But you understand the significance, which is how you're able to traverse the forest, how you're able to move through it. As you're entering the dark forest, aptly named not because of any kind of folklore, but as you're moving through it, the canopy of these trees are so tight that even in broad daylight, very little light is able to penetrate through. So the forest itself is almost in perpetual darkness. The undergrowth is muddy and kind of mossy. It's almost difficult terrain, but not quite. You feel yourself kind of squelching as you go through. There isn't much life on the ground outside of things like fungus, things like that. There are points when you're moving through the forest where the trees, which are range from kind of like 6 inches in diameter to several meters, but some of them are so tight together that you find yourself having to squeeze through to the point that it's almost challenging just to move through the branches of these trees. So we'll say at this point you've wandered across, after a couple of hours of moving through the forest, you've passed several markers, and you find yourself pushing through one of these trees, or a couple of these trees, in an attempt to find the next one. What would you like to do?
So do these markers give any indication of a direction, or is it just they're like breadcrumbs that I'm following?
They're kind of breadcrumbs. They do kind of they kind of give you a rough direction of where you need to go. It's very much north southeast.
And can I see any other markers in the distance from the direction I'm going?
Perception check, please.
Okay. So I'm going to use an online dice roller just so everybody can see the roll. So +5 to perception, so 21.
With a 21, very easily. So you squeeze through and kind of land in the undergrowth. As you kind of got through those two trees, there was almost like a 5-foot drop on the other side, straight into the mud. And as you're looking around, you can see kind of it's somewhat difficult, but with a roll of 21, you're almost surprised at how easily you see it. About 50 feet through several camps of trees, you can see another one of these. It's almost like a small mound of rocks, across the face of which is like a series of scratches. If you didn't know what it was, then it would have just blended in with the other rocks in the environment.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, you can see it about 50 feet in front of you.
Yeah, I'm just going to walk towards it.
Okay. So as you continue on, you come upon that rock. Make me another perception check, please. Now that it is at your feet, you've traversed the distance between them.
17.
That's 17. With the 17, one of the main things you've noticed as you've started to move throughout this forest, not only is it absence of light, which, do you have dark vision, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Not only the absence of light, but also the absence of sound.
Okay.
There's no birds chirping, there's no sounds of animals moving. There isn't even the sound of branches or leaves moving in the wind. The air is still.
Is there any other like tracks? Is any like movement from anywhere?
With a 17, there isn't really much of anything.
Okay.
You can't sense any movement. So the air is still and it's almost stale. Just breathing it in. It's not uncomfortable, but it's not pleasant.
Okay.
It's silent to the point that you can almost hear your blood pulsing through your body. It's deadly quiet.
Are my feline senses tingling, and is there danger nearby?
As far as you're aware, there's no danger.
This isn't a trait I actually have. This is just something that I'm just making up.
Just feline senses. Homebrew. Let's make it happen. No, you can't see or hear anything. But as you kind of look upon this small marker that's been left, and it seems to direct you onward. It kind of gives you the obvious forward direction.
I'll carry onward.
So as you start moving, I would like another perception check, please.
We're just going until I fail, I can tell.
You're just going in a back at. You're in a tavern.
Unfortunately for you though, I got a 19, so that is 24.
You are crushing it today. Okay, but with a 24, you're.
This is in before the comments say that online dice roller you're using is weighted. I hope so.
One of those weighted dice rollers, son. Again, you're almost surprised how easy it is to find it. You're moving through and you can see. What was it you got? Sorry, a 24?
24, yeah.
The 24. You're moving and kind of squeezing through these trees, these kind of colossal, kind of dark greyish bark, and they feel like solid, I suppose would be the best way of describing them. Classic solid tree. So you kind of maneuver through them. With a 24, you're starting to see. It looks like tracks, but tracks that an attempt is being made to disguise them.
Okay.
With the 24.
Okay.
Even at that, it's difficult to ascertain how many they are, and that.
Do they look like animal tracks, or do they look like human tracks, or like humanoid tracks?
With the 24, it looks like a combination of both.
Okay.
Could be humanoid, it could be animal. Again, an attempt has been made to disguise them, but you can kind of see characteristics of both.
Do they look fresh?
And, not super fresh.
Okay.
Not super fresh. Maybe a day old.
Did I see any other markers?
So as you get to this one, and you approach it and you're looking at the scratches, the kind of like how it was when you initially entered the forest, the silence is almost deafening. The air is, again, it's still to the point that it's uncomfortable breathing it, and you can feel and hear your blood as it's boom, 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 like your heartbeat echoes in your ears, and there's almost like what feels like a kind of a gentle whisper in the inside of your head. You don't understand the chatter anyway. These kind of gentle silences as they're piercing kind of inside of you and almost calling you in a very specific direction. And as you're kind of looking upon the kind of scratches and symbols that you recognise on this marker, you can feel them almost pulling you around. And as you turn around, on the other side of a few trees, you can see what appears to be a clearing.
Do I see anything in that clearing?
Did you step towards it?
Yeah, tentatively.
So as you step towards the trees, again, it's with how condensed these are, it's almost difficult. You need to kind of go sideways and edge through it. And as you edge through it, before you get completely through, you can see what looks like a 10-foot drop into a kind of a basin that's roughly about 50 feet in diameter. It's very, very large. And at the far end, you can see kind of a large arched wall pressed into what you probably identify as the foot of one of the mountains in the range.
So is this the clearing? Is there anything in the clearing, or does there appear to be anything in the clearing, or is it just?
There's no trees, so the trees kind of stop around the perimeter of the basin.
Can I stealth around the perimeter towards that arch?
If you wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me a stealth check.
It's not weighted. I got that one.
Well, it's not weighted. Yeah, but with a natural one, you're kind of tucked down and you're moving along kind of weaving in and out of the trees around the corner of the basin, and then your foot slips on some of the mud, and you slip 10
Just
feet down.
bobsleigh right into that basin.
Bobsleigh face down into the harsh mud and moss. Your mouth is filled with now mushrooms.
Ugh. Just wiping my face.
Everything you're wearing is now damp.
And shake like a dog to get it all off.
You get off most of it. There's still some moss in your hair and in your clothes. Are you wearing armor?
Yeah, studied leather.
Studied leather. So like the kind of the more gentle cloths that are within your leather armor to stop the leather rubbing against you have absorbed all that water and mud.
I do have a red cape as well, so that'll be pretty disgusting now.
So most of the red cape, especially the perimeter, is going to be moist.
Yeah.
Very moist at this point. So you now find yourself within that basin. The whispers have now reached the point where they are almost excruciating. Like, you can tolerate them, but it's such a stark difference between what you've been experiencing up until this point, and what you're experiencing right now. Directly in front of you, you can see the arch in much greater detail than previously. At this point, it's probably 30 feet away from you.
Is there any writing in the arch?
Do you want to get close?
Yeah.
Okay, if you go have a look, maybe an investigation check, please.
I got a 13.
The 13, there is script on the door. It's not in a language that you recognise.
Okay.
But you do find what looks like about kind of almost about face height for you is a large hole.
Okay. Can I cast comprehend languages?
Sure, by all means.
So for the duration you understand the literal meaning of any language spoken near you and can read any language written, provided you're touching the surface on which it is written.
So you just put your hand on it?
Yeah.
Okay. Sick. God, I love Temples. Yeah, so as you put your hand on it, the letters kind of boom, 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 all start glowing with your arcana, and you watch them organise and restructure themselves, and then they begin to, and as they start to pulse, they start to change. And it translates roughly to through sacrifice one may enter. So just to set the kind of grandiose nature of this archway is about 30 feet tall, 30 feet in diameter, and extends up into the side of the mountain, kind of almost beyond the point where you can see. It's colossal. The archway itself is ingrained with kind of almost beautifully ornate symbols. Like, it doesn't look like a door. Albeit it has the silhouette of one, there's no obvious like path through. There's no obvious way to open.
So is it closed off? Or is it an open arch? Okay, I see. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. So it's completely sealed off. It's kind of like the entrance to the Mines of Moria from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. So the hole was in front of it.
The hole is kind of on the center with the inscribed writing around the perimeter. Make me an intelligence check.
20, not natural.
Dirty 20. With a dirty 20, this was something that you'd considered before you'd left. This is something that you would have considered through your research, that things like this, these guys, necromancers in particular, are big fans of sacrifice.
Yeah.
And that it makes sense that they would make an attempt to protect their more magical, or they're more unique secrets and objects via means that a kind of more conventional or good aligned person wouldn't be willing to pursue.
Okay. So the question really is, what level of sacrifice does it require? So I am going to just try a basic blood sacrifice. I'm going to cut my hand open with a dagger, and I'm going to squeeze blood into the hole.
So the hole itself is very deep. If you look in, you can't really see the end. So you want to reach your arm all the way in, or you just
Oh, is it in the actual thing? In the
yeah.
I
So
see. Yes,
I
yes.
I should have been more descriptive when I said a hole. So
I
like,
thought it was a
the
hole
hole
like
is
in front of it, but yeah, that's fine.
no. So it's on the wall itself. It's on the kind of what would be the would be door, I suppose.
Ah, okay.
I should have been more descriptive.
That's going to lose me an arm. What if I just stick my head in this hole and then the character's dead and I have to make a new one and then just.
You get the.
Okay.
This is one of those times where you kind of wish you'd brought a companion.
Yeah.
You would be able to gauge that, like, based on the dirty 20 that you rolled. These guys have no problem using other entities as keys. Do you want to try the blood then?
Yeah, but it's going to lose me my arm. I know it is. I can feel it. Are there any dead bodies around? Is there any signs that anybody's been here? Is there any signs of blood? Is there any skeletons?
You're welcome to go digging.
Yeah.
You get the impression that the kind of like it's almost like sand on a beach, with the sheer volume of mud. Like you find yourself like having to like step up a little bit, otherwise you start to sink in.
Okay.
But if you wanted to go and investigate within the mud,
Yeah, let's go and have a little look around the mud.
so maybe an investigation check.
16.
With a 16, you're kind of standing at the front door and looking around the basin. You start to wander to the right. You just take out your sword and start sticking it in.
Yeah, I've got like daggers, so.
Daggers, yeah. So you're kind of wandering around, or you like break off a bit of tree or something, or a stick, and start stabbing it around the mud, trying to investigate. With the 16, as you're going through the mud around the entrance to the door, you're sticking in, and you find you hit something hard. You reach in, or you start to dig away some of the mud and reach in and grab it. As you've kind of got a grip on this thing, you start pulling it in. As you pull, and you are holding a fresh skull in your left hand.
Could I put it back?
Off the spinal cord.
Could I put it back and could I cast Animate Dead?
Certainly can. So you stick it back on, so you can kind of see the rest of it is engulfed in mud. So you managed to expose the top of the skull. Mm-hmm. So it's up till mud till around about here. You put the head back on. Animate Dead. Remember what Animate Dead does?
You animate a pile of bones or a corpse into an undead that follows your commands. As a bonus action, you may mentally command any creature made by this spell. If it is within 60 feet of you, you may recast every 24 hours and maintain up to 4 creatures. Casting time is 1 minute. Duration instantaneous.
Yeah, cool. So how do you cast your spell?
I would go over to the skeleton, use a little bit of blood from I'll cut blood on my fingertip, and I'll just squeeze blood onto the skull's forehead.
Awesome. So you do that, the blood kind of, and the skeleton sits still for a moment and then and then looks up at you.
Rise.
He watches it, and then awkwardly starts to, like the Deadites in Army of Darkness, pulls itself out of the mud. This, you did not realize how big this thing was until it gets out completely. It stands almost 9 feet tall.
Nice.
This thing is huge.
Nice.
And it kind of lurching over you, looks at you expectantly.
But choose an arm, so skeleton.
Sorry?
Choose an arm. Reach out at one arm of your choice.
He looks at you and then looks at the hole and then back to you and acknowledges. Walks over. It acknowledges you, walks over, it drops to one knee so that it's short enough, and you watch as it kind of reaches its arm in this hole all the way to the shoulder, and you can kind of hear it grasping at something. And as it grasps at it, you can feel it turn. Well, you can see it turning, and as it turns, and it just continues to turn. And as you watch it, it forcibly twists the skeleton's arm completely off its body, and then sucks it into the hole through the other side. And the skeleton stands up with one arm remaining. And as you're standing there kind of watching this horror unfold and thinking how horrific it would have been if your arm was forcibly twisted out of its socket, you hear this now as these colossal doors twist open.
Excellent. I'm going to send the skeleton forward through the doors and I'm going to follow behind.
Okay. Of a similar kind of darkness to what you'd been experiencing up until this point. You wander inside. Let me bring up my session notes. As you wander inside, you find yourself in a hall, essentially, the height of which is comparable to the size of the door with which you just came through. As you're looking up, you almost can't see the end. The hall itself is very kind of almost pristine in the way it's been carved. It doesn't look, it's not cavernous, it's not hewn or rough or anything like that. It looks like special care was taken to cut the stone for this dungeon or tomb or whatever you want to call it. And as you step in, you kind of look to your left and to the right. There's no obvious doorways or doors or passageways. It just leads straight down. And it does seem to lead downward. There is a slight, not dip in the floor, but a downward angle that exaggerates as you go down.
Okay. I'm going to tell a skeleton to run forward. Sprint! Sprint, skeleton!
Okay. So he looks at you, looks at the hallway, and starts to run forward. It gets about 25 feet in. Make me a dexterity saving throw for the skeleton.
What would the... I was going to say, what would the skeleton's dexterity be, but I don't think it matters. I rolled a 3. But I don't know if it has any negatives. Oh.
I can't imagine it's got like a plus 15.
No way.
Yeah, so as you walk, and you see from like the entirety of the perimeter of what would be the hallway, just as that entire section is just engulfed with flame.
Okay.
Doing no damage. That's pretty good. Only takes 7 points of fire damage. Hit points are 13. So it's still alive. So it's charred. It doesn't look great, but it turns back to you.
Okay, I'll go and catch up with it. Um, can I see what it was that caused it? Was it a tripwire? Was it a pressure plate? Was it anything?
I'll give you it for free, given that it's been triggered. It looks like a pressure plate on the floor.
Okay.
As you walk up, you can see it pop back up.
Can I roll perception to see if I can see any other traps?
Mm-hmm.
16.
With a 16, you kind of take a kneel down and you're having a closer look at the tile. And as you're looking at the tile, you notice that most of the tiles that are on this kind of grey stone floor all have symbols on them. A lot of them look faint, like they've kind of suffered the test of time. But a lot of them have symbols on them. And the one that you're looking at, you would recognize it quite easy as the symbol for Pelor, god of the sun.
Okay.
A lawful good god, which is unusual for a place like that.
So, like, do I see the symbols like on all the stones quite easily, or?
A lot of them, the majority of them, you can see Pelor is represented a lot in some, like kind of occasionally throughout these stones. You do see some images that are more reminiscent of what you would identify as more evil aligned gods and goddesses.
I'm going to walk forward myself and try and not step on the symboled stones, and have the skeleton follow.
Okay, so you're moving through. You're avoiding any of them that have symbols.
Yeah.
So there are some that are more plain, or don't have anything, but they're much closer to the edge.
Okay.
It seems most of the kind of central cavern or the central passageway are blotted with these symbols. Kind of from that point, with the skeleton almost stepped on the first one. So as you kind of hug the edge and work your way around, it continues down for about 50 meters. It's 100 feet, 50 meters. The ratio is wrong. Roughly around about that. And it starts to kind of narrow down a little bit to more like a standard hallway. So it's still grandiose, but more of a castle hallway. And as you're moving through, you find yourself in what looks like a large chamber. Not colossal. The room itself, the kind of entryway chamber, is roughly about 40 feet by 40 feet in size. To the left and the right are two large pillars that extend all the way to the ceiling, about 50 feet up. You're on the entrance to it. What would you like to do?
So I would like to cast Faithful Hound.
Okay.
So, level 4 spell, duration 8 hours. You summon a phantom watchdog. Wherever a creature comes within 30 feet of it without speaking a designated password, the hound starts barking loudly. The hound sees invisible creatures and even into the ethereal plane, and it ignores illusions. The hound can attempt to bite on your turn. Its attack bonus is blah 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 blah.
That's pretty cool. I love
I
that.
want to cast it
Okay.
30 feet in front of me. So the range is 30 feet. So it is not in the range of the skeleton.
Right, okay, so as you begin your casting of it, you go through your verbal somatic components, whatever it may be, and how does the hound look when it manifests?
So it's ghostly. So it has this greeny, purpley shimmer to it. Kind of looks like a Doberman.
Nice. So this large Doberman and kind of manifests in the center of the room, immediately starts losing its fucking mind.
Oh dear.
immediately. And it starts barking at the far wall, the opposite side from where you are, just barking, barking, barking.
Is it just at that far wall, or is it barking anywhere else?
Just at that far wall.
How far away is that far wall?
From you, 40 feet. From it, 10.
I'd like to cast Fireball at that far wall.
Okay.
I love that reaction. The reaction of, that's either, oh, you fucked up, or, oh, that's a good idea. Let's find out.
Yeah, no comment. Make your casting. It's
Let me,
it's not a save, is it? It's just an op.
I think it's a save.
It's a dex save.
8d6. So, 27 damage.
DC? What's your spell DC?
My spell save DC is 16.
Okay, with a 3, that's no chance. How many points of damage would it be?
27.
Cool. So you, in your ball of fire, and you see just the far side of the wall engulfed in flame, and what you didn't see, what you do now as it kind of wanders out of the flame, is this enormous skeletal creature, and encased in what looks like kind of almost like an iron armor covered in rust and moss, a large helm with kind of 2 jagged spikes carving up like horns. Similarly, and you watch as it down on one knee as the flames engulf it, and then it steps up and begins to slowly move towards you. Still engulfed in flame. I need an initiative from you, please.
Okay. Oh dear. So I got 6 for initiative.
Eek. Okay, he's gonna act first. Okay. So you watch as this kind of large skeletal entity steps up from that one knee.
Does it walk?
You can
Does it
kind of
walk
see-
past my hound at all?
It goes right past it,
Would it get
straight to you.
Would it get an opportunity attack?
Yeah, I would say it gets an attack of opportunity.
Be spellcasting modifier +5 +3, so +8 to hit. So 25 to hit,
Holy shit! Yeah, 25 will hit.
and then does 4d8.
4d8.
Yep. 4d8 piercing
Okay.
damage. 17. That is a level 4 spell to be fair.
Oh, damn. It looks rough. So as it's moving towards you, you watch as your hound reaches out and kind of almost rips a bone out of his ribs, just pulls it through the armor. It's still charred and engulfed in flame. As it's walking towards you, it's going to attempt to cast Bone Storm. Need a dex save from you.
That's gonna fail, man. That's a 5.
Yeah. 5 on 5 won't make it. 6, 10, 13. 14 points of snapping damage.
14.
14 points.
Okay, well, we're back. We had a little bit of a connection issue, so we'll carry on from there.
Yeah, cool. So the this kind of colossal skeletal monstrosity, as it's walking towards you, you watch as this kind of swirling tornado of jagged bone picks up around you. It starts cuts you for not as much damage as you would have expected. As he steps towards you, he's going to attempt to make a slam attack against you. It's going to be 19.
Yeah.
19 hits.
Yeah.
So he walks up. He doesn't have any weapons. He just uses his kind of his large enclosed skeletal fists and just for 13 points of damage.
Okay.
That's going to be his turn.
I don't know if does my skeleton get a turn separate from me or not? Would it have to be instead of my turn? But would it be instead of my turn or?
I think you can command him with a bonus action on your turn.
Oh yeah, it did say that, didn't it?
You can use a bonus action to mentally command any creature you made with a spell. So you can use your bonus action to tell it to do something.
I'm pretty sure my hound is instead of my action, so if it wasn't up, so I won't use that. Okay, so I'll get a skeleton to move to this, like my skeleton to move to the side of the skeleton, and I'll get it to attack.
Make your attack.
What's its plus?
For skeleton?
Yeah.
Strength 0.
13 to hit.
13 miss.
Okay.
So the skeleton with his one remaining individual arm attempts to kind of catch this entity in the ribs, and it just across its armor.
I'm going to level 2 burning hands it.
Okay.
So it needs to make a dexterity saving throw.
Okay. That is a 15 plus. Plus 3. Oh no, its dex is terrible. It's just a straight 15.
So it fails.
Fails, okay.
So it takes 11 points of fire damage.
Okay. So, describe to me how you destroy this thing.
So this ray of fire comes shooting out of both hands, just starts melting its bones, and it just starts to fall apart and crumble.
Awesome.
And it screams.
So
screams as it dies. An orgasmic scream.
So you are you can swirl your hands and kind of trace out the arcane symbols in front of you before kind of Kamehameha waving this creature, and as the flames engulf it for a second time, you watch as its bones start, the armor starts to go molten and drip off, and its bones start to like almost turn to dust, and as it's kind of falls to one knee and then the other, to this point it's now eye level with you, and as it looks up you can kind of see the vacant sockets where its eyes once were, as it says, this will be your tomb, as it was mine, and it dissipates.